Welcome back to Just a Recording Podcast, where we have conversations with individuals that think differently and challenge the status quo with success and valuable lessons. I am your host, Patrick Moen. Welcome back. I've taken a little bit of time off just to really work on my mental health and really get grounded. So I haven't released a podcast in quite some time, and it only just makes sense to release this podcast. I'm so honored to bring you this guest. He is such an incredible human being. We've literally been friends since birth, pretty much. I call this person my best friend. We talk a lot about just growing up in our life, and then a little bit of him in fighting in the UFC and, his grappling history. You might know this person from being in the UFC for 7 years. I am really excited to just talk about how he dealt with, winning on that platform and sometimes losing on that platform, and really what that did to his psyche and how he was able to conquer those demons. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode. I am so honored for you to hear it. Before you do, also make sure to check out my podcast sponsor, therootbrands.com. They have two amazing products. Actually, they have three amazing products now, and I'm so stoked because this new product, Restore, is absolutely incredible. Go ahead and check them out. They are changing the world one human at a time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Also, if you enjoy the podcast, go ahead and drop a little feedback. Give me 5 stars. Let me know how you think. Let me know what you're enjoying of the podcast. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, fam. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Just a Recording Podcast. I am beyond excited to bring this episode. It's been a long time coming, and I'm glad that it wasn't my first couple episodes because it gave me a little bit of practice, helped me understand how to really interview somebody. But the guest that I have today is, a lot of people talk about like their best friends, and they talk about people that they grew up with or that they know or like friends, and it's like, no, this individual that I'm talking to today is like best friends since pretty much birth. Like, lived down the street from me, basically beat me up all through childhood, but we have been best friends, and we've had so many insane experiences together, and he's lived an incredible life. And so I wanted to get a chance to just talk to him about the insane life that he's lived and kind of talk about what he's doing now. But I am so incredibly honored to bring Kurt Batman Pellegrino to Just a Recording Podcast. What's up?
That's really one heck of a an intro for myself, like to introduce someone. I appreciate that. I don't know if I was that great of a friend. I mean, we were definitely great friends. I don't know if I think, being a little kid, I look at like everyone had to like we were saying, like I was telling my son like that last night. I said, this is my best friend. This guy here, whenever I needed him, he'd be here in my house. I mean, even this week or my birthday, you were here, right? Yeah. Like if I needed someone, I needed you, right? But I was telling my son, this guy's such a great friend. I used to get my butt beat by like my older brother or like the bigger guys on the block, and then I was like, well, if I'm gonna get beat up, I gotta go down the street and beat up Pat. I gotta beat someone up. You know what I mean? Like, and then the next day, like, no matter how bad I beat you up, the next day I was like, hey, you wanna go play tag? You're like, yeah, let's go. And that's just how it was for a long time, until you realize when the smoke clears and when everyone's gone, you're still standing there. And to me, I think that's the testament of time, of who your real friends are. And we didn't have to stay connected every single day, but we are friends for the rest of our lives. And I think that's something that is pretty cool. Like when I was doing my fighting career, in the UFC, like you were there. Like times where I'm like, oh shit, Pat, you're here.
Yeah.
Like
The state tournaments.
the wrestling.
I drove down to watch you.
Yeah, I mean the whole nine. So to me, that defines an amazing friend. And I want to just, for the record, we were always great friends. I'll always be your friend. I was there for you when you needed me, and I felt pretty good about that when you needed me. But you were always the better friend.
Well, thanks,
in
man.
my eyes, you were always the better friend. Being older now and retired, I can kind of slow down. And like now, if you needed me, I could stop what I'm doing because like I don't really do much.
Yeah.
And now I could be the better friend. I look forward to those years of being a better friend, like you were for me for all those years, and still turning 42 today or 2 days ago. Like you flew in for my birthday, and I can't wait for me to be able to do some of that cool stuff for you.
Yeah.
But don't get it wrong. You were always the better friend. And I was always very grateful. And now, being older, knowing how great of a friend you were makes me so happy. So I'm very lucky for that.
Well, thanks, man. I remember like I like cherish the ground that you walked on. Like I was so like I want like you got a scooter, I got a scooter. Mine might have been like pink or like purple or like some weird stupid color because you and your brother had like a black one and a red one, and I couldn't. Obviously there was like 3 colors I couldn't get. But I want, like, growing up wanted to be just like you. Like we wrestled together. I wanted to be just as good as you are. I lived vicariously through all the things that you did. So, when you would have a win, it felt like I had a win. When you had a loss, I had a loss. Like, and there's times that I think back, like when you lost the first state championship that you went to, when you got I can't even remember the guy's name. It was 145, right? 140.
Laid Black.
Yeah, Laid Black.
Yeah. How would I remember that?
He was like held back like 2 times or something, some crazy shit. But
I
remember like watching you, like I was devastated. Like when you, like I felt your pain when you lost, but when I watched you win, like watching you fight was probably like how parents watch their kids fight. They're like so pent up with energy.
It's
like
kind of how I feel watching my son wrestle.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's like you're biting tooth and nail at every second, but
yeah, nothing you can do. You just gotta. Yeah, you don't look at that when you're a kid, right? You don't look at that when you're a kid, and you don't notice those friends. You don't notice those people. You don't notice what they would really go through because, like, I never went through it when my friends were wrestling. I really didn't care. I was just like, oh, cool, they're wrestling. But like, you don't know, like me personally, I didn't know what I had until everything was gone. I didn't know how good I was until it was over. I was very blessed to have such a crazy work ethic to want more. And I think I wanted that more than someone like yourself or someone that was on a wrestling team, because I knew I had so much struggles in school with learning. So the wrestling was my way to show everyone how good I was. Like you guys could be like, oh, I could get pinned today or not win a wrestling match or win one close and still go and get hundreds. Where I had to destroy and kill everyone I went against and demoralize them because I couldn't do anything past that one arena. So I think that's where I knew where I had to become something and to end up where I'm sitting here today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like, just even, some of the struggles, like, we both, like, I know that you had, like, learning disabilities, dyslexic, right? AD.
Probably all of it.
Yeah. So I was the same, dyslexic, ADHD. We were both in like the dumb classes. You were
small classes.
You were in some of the other classes. Yeah, the smaller classes.
I was in a room no bigger than this probably through all of elementary school, middle school, then high school.
Yeah.
And then in college they stuck me in rooms like this too, which I was like, man, am I ever going to get out of these rooms?
Right.
And then I failed every subject, and I was like, I guess not.
Well, what's crazy is, lots of memories. Like we were just looking at a picture today of we literally knew each other at like the tiniest ages. Our moms were best friends. We lived down the street from you, and
We were so little. You used to run down my house naked, and not like 3 houses,
like a whole block
like from one edge of the block to the very end of the block,
naked
down the street
all the time.
On Christmas, you did that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Santa Claus came. My mom said, she's like, Patrick, you have no pants on, pal. It was freezing outside.
But what I also remember is like you protected me, like when I didn't know how to protect myself. I wasn't as big as I am now, but like
bigger than me.
You stuck up for me when if anybody fucked with me, like if you found out about it, they got beat the fuck up.
Yeah. Now it's reversed.
Now I'm gigantic.
Now, like, you walk in my house and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, Jesus, I don't even, like, do I fight him? Like, do I try to fight him? My wife's like, leave him alone, man. Fucking tall, big, in shape, muscular. You're a broke-ass UFC fighter. I'm like,
Probably still get a good couple licks in. So obviously, you had an incredible wrestling career. You started wrestling at what age? Do you remember?
5.
And that was your dad putting you in wrestling, right?
Yeah, my brother was on the rec wrestling team. So he was 6, and then I was that little mat rat doing all the exercises on the side of the mat. And then they, whenever they didn't have a kid for a partner, I was always the one that would go in.
Yeah.
And I just hated losing. Even if the kid took me down when we were drilling, it used to make me crazy.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it. Like, I didn't really understand losing. I'm 42 years old. I still don't really understand it. Try to like get into like the theory of losing and how like good it is. Like now I realize how good it is, but it used to like, it keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
I think about some things, and now I have my son that wrestles, and like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hated it.
What's your fondest memory thinking back from starting wrestling at 5, going all through Scholastic, starting Jiu-jitsu, going Pan Ams, and then being a UFC fighter? Like, what's some of your fondest memories? How many years were you in the UFC? 5?
7.
7. What's your fondest memory? Because you were traveling to Abu Dhabi, fighting in the Pan Ams, right?
Worlds and ADCC and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I went to California, won the Pan Am gold medal there. They had one in New York. I won the no-gi Pan Am there. And then they brought the Abu Dhabi games, the ADCCs, to Trenton, New Jersey that one year. And I did it in Trenton. Right. Which is for those who don't know what that tournament is, if you ever watched Bloodsport, that's what it was. It was the 16 of the top best grapplers. It could be judo, Olympic wrestlers, jiu-jitsu people. I mean, it could be like sumo wrestlers.
And it's
karate.
It's weight class, right?
It's weight class.
Weight class, yeah.
And then there's the absolute division, all that kind of stuff. But it is weight class. So I think I was 16th. I was in the 1 to 16 best in the world. And in the U.S., I was ranked 1 for a couple years, the best grappler in America at my weight class at 169 pounds.
Yeah.
The best.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was insane. So imagine even me like saying I was the best. Yeah. American, and I was probably top 5 in the world.
What made you get into jiu-jitsu? Because you were under you trained with one of the Gracies when you first started, right?
I failed college, and when I failed college, I could have went anywhere.
You went to Stroudsburg, right?
No, I had a full ride at Stroudsburg too, but I did. I went to Gloucester Community School. I had to pick up my grades,
right?
And I didn't have the smarts for it, to be honest with you, and. So long story short, from that point on, when I ended up failing, I didn't know what I was doing with my life, and I was working for the town of Point Pleasant Borough Public Works. and seeing everybody wearing like an orange sweatshirt. I mean, I'm sorry, I was wearing an orange sweatshirt, picking up roadkill, painting sidewalks yellow, picking up fire drainage pipes and cleaning them out,
Yeah, you
cutting
were
municipal.
miserable then. Yeah.
Not that I was miserable. I wasn't like I should have been a couple time national champion. I wanted to train. Like that's all I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything else. I just knew how to work out, and I was good at it. But I could have did this job. And I could have been the supervisor probably by now. And I could have been running a crew by now. And I could have had a very easy life. And instead, I remember my buddy called me and he said, "Hey, I want you to come do UFC fighting." And I was like, "What's UFC fighting?" He's like, "One of our guys is doing like the UFC fight."
What year is this?
I don't know. I'm talking like...
Early
graduated
2000s.
2000. We'd graduate in 98, so 2021.
No, 2002.
2002?
Yeah.
2001?
Yeah.
And I went there to train with him because I was such a good wrestler still. I was still wrestling at the Sure Thing, helping out with Coach Vinny Santanello. And I went there and I whooped the shit out of this kid. And he had a fight. Like, we put these like karate mask on and the black UFC gloves, but they're called NHB gloves, and we fought. I had my first fight in the gym.
And you didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu?
I had no idea.
You just knew wrestling, Greco,
Wrestling.
freestyle,
Freestyle, yeah.
wrestling.
And I beat the shit out of this kid with my hands.
And you never had any really boxing?
I had no idea what I was doing. I literally just said, "What do I do?" They said, "Fight him." I was like, "What?" And I fought him. I punched him, hurt him, knocked him on his ass. He tried taking me down. I front headlocked him, took his back, choked him out. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, this is easy. And this kid was fighting. Not in the UFC, but he was fighting an amateur fight, but you could do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Right.
Back when I was fighting, it was amateur fighting has shin guards and like you can't punch or knee to the face. Now, when I was fighting, it was a UFC fight in a high school gymnasium.
Yeah, I remember going to a few of
It
them.
was like the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I beat this kid up so bad, he ran out of the gym. And the guys were like, "Bro, you got to do this. I mean, one of the kids said, "You're our meal ticket." I was like, meal ticket? Like, I really didn't understand it. But I was like, maybe I could do something from this. And then I started watching UFC fights. And then I started realizing maybe I have something to work for. And that was the end. I just realized what I wanted, started winning fights, and I would fight, not like these kids now. You mentioned, I'm going to fight Kurt Pellegrino. First thing you do is you go on Instagram, Kurt Pellegrino, and you find out me, you look at me, you look me up, you look at everything. You go to Facebook, you go to YouTube. Bro, when I fought Matt Zachariah, there was nothing on Matt Zachariah. I don't even think Google was out at that time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you look him up? All you have the word for is people that knew who he was in the community of what we did. And he was the greatest. He was a fucking stud. And I said, cool, I'll fight him. Like, I don't care. I mean, people told me I wasn't going to win. I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is. And I beat the shit out of him. I was like, wow.
That was your first amateur fight?
I don't know. Daniel Suarez maybe was. I think I lost. I was beating the crap out of him, but there were so many rules I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I ended up losing, but I didn't even know what I was doing. I think I got armbarred, but I was training for like less than a month, and then I never lost. I was on like a 15 fight win streak, but it didn't count anyway. It wasn't sanctioned. There was no. It was literally in.
It was like backyard brawl type.
Yeah,
shit.
we went into a gymnasium. They go, "What do you weigh?" I said, "I weighed 164." What do you weigh? 168. Cool. You two are fighting each other.
Really?
I swear to God. I was like, cool. I didn't know.
See you in the ring.
And then I could punch him on my feet, but once he fell to the ground, I couldn't punch him in the face. But I trained that way.
Right.
So I punched him in his face.
So you didn't know what to do when you got
I
down
had
to the
no
mat.
idea. I was only training. I was training less than a month. So when I punched him in the face, they stopped the fight. And they're like, you can't do that. I go, can't do what? I had no clue. And then I did it again. And he's like, I'm going to disqualify you. I'm like, for what? So they took away my rules. And then as I punched him in the face again, the dude like went for an arm bar. And when he grabbed it, I thought he was going to break my arm. I tapped. He didn't even have the submission. I was frightened.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. And then from that point on, I was like, I think I really love this. I hated losing.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
How hard was it for you to pick up jiu-jitsu?
It was easy.
Because it's such a chess game sport.
Dude, it was so easy. It was one of the easiest things. I got my black belt in 5 years. I beat multiple-time world champions before that happened.
Yeah.
Before I got my black belt, I was the black belt killer. Killed everyone. I beat everyone. There was no one that was a black belt that legitimately beat me.
What was your biggest fear in any of the fights, like, or jiu-jitsu or grappling? Like, I mean, when people put you in a submission, like, they're either choking you out or trying to snap your arm off your body or your leg. Like, I can't think about shit without getting, like, cringes down my spine.
So, like, I never really cared really too much until I lost to Nate Diaz. And when I tapped to Nate, there was so much involved in that fight in the UFC. Like, there was so much behind the scenes stuff that I don't even want to get into. But it's a great story, but it's just something I hate talking about. But there were some home life things in the back. I shouldn't have fought that fight. I'm glad I did because I felt like I did really well.
You did really well.
I just don't think that was the best me.
Well,
And I lost 100% and Nate did win. I just didn't care that I lost. I didn't care I was put in a triangle. I was just kind of happy it was over and I wanted to get home and I wanted to move back to New Jersey with my wife and my daughter, Priscilla. That was my big thing. That's all I wanted to do.
you said there was stuff going on personally.
There was personal stuff going on and me and my wife and my daughter needed to get out of Florida. And we did. And since we did that, I realized then my dad talked to me. He goes, you know, he's like, aren't you afraid to get choked out cold or your arm broken? And I was like, Dad, I'll tell you this right now. I'll never tap to anything. I let my shit break or I'll be choked out unconscious and hopefully I never wake up again. He's like, what? And I was like, I just mean it. Like, I tapped to something I should have tried to fight out of. I'll never forgive myself for that. But in that situation, I just wanted to go home. And I'm glad it's over. But from this point on, I mean, Josh Neer, after that, when I fought Josh Neer and beat up Josh Neer, he popped my arm 3 times in an arm bar. And I wouldn't tap. I just kind of picked him up and hit him a couple of times. Like, I sat on the mat. And that was like my testament of like, yeah, I just don't care. And once you like I meditated, like Henzo taught me, like meditating, like if you just kind of like take 30 minutes out of your day and go in a dark room and have no one in the house and just stay there in complete darkness and just kind of think about what you're going to do, what you accept that could happen to your body. And once you accept that, nothing hurts in the moment of when it happens because you go to that place. And then when you wake up, your shit's broken, man.
Right.
That's what he said. Man, it's just broken.
Yeah. That's like, what was one fight where you broke your left hand, right? You broke your left hand like with the first punch that you threw.
Third punch.
Who was it against?
Joe Stevenson. Yeah. Third punch. And it hurt so bad. And when I went to the round, when the round was over, I told the coach, I said, listen, my hand's broken. It hurts. I can't even squeeze my hand. He goes, use it. Use it as much as possible. It will go numb. And he was right. It went numb. And then it was like a hammer. But then I shattered my left hand and I was in a cast in and out for a year. And it still hurts. Like if I put gloves on and I started boxing, it will hurt. I have a plate and 4 screws in it. I need to get those plate and 4 screws out. It's literally coming out. You could feel the one screw has to come out.
Yeah.
But I don't really feel like getting another surgery to get it out.
Yeah.
I've had so many.
There was you've only been really hurt, I guess, 2 times. Joe Stevenson, you broke your left hand, and then Alberto Crane when he clocked you in the lip, and you basically you stuck your tongue through your lip when Joe Rogan interviewed you.
I would say 3 times.
What was the third one?
I tore my ACL against Santaropoulos in the first round.
Yeah.
So George Santaropoulos punched me, and when he punched me, he kind of like stunned me, and he pushed me. So before that fight, I got meniscus surgery.
Yeah, you shouldn't have fought that fight either, right?
No, I shouldn't have fought that fight. And then on this, I got meniscus surgery, 2 weeks to recover, and then 6 weeks to the fight, 5 weeks to the training camp. So total of 8 weeks. I got meniscus surgery on the 8th week. The 8th week was recovery. The 7th one was recovery. The 6th week I started training, and then I had 5 weeks of training, and then the very last week out of the 8 was the fight. So I only trained for 5 weeks for the number 1 contender spot in the UFC, and I tore my ACL and meniscus all over again in round 1, and kept fighting. Like, I was crippled. I had like a wheelchair to the, like when we left, I had a wheelchair to the airplane, a wheelchair when I got home. Like, I was crippled, could not walk.
Yeah.
People ask me how you did that fight. I go, I didn't want to lose. I just didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose. And I think one of the most memorable things I've ever done in the UFC was definitely one of those stupider things. But it was when I fought Gleason Tebow. I got ACL cadaver, so they replaced it with a cadaver ACL,
right?
Which is the best thing to do. I don't care what anyone says. So when you guys want to argue about this podcast, get the cadaver. Don't take it from your body. Get a cadaver. It's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I fought Gleason 9 months to the day, or 6 months. 6 months to the day of ACL, complete surgery, cadaver. 6 months to the day. People don't fight again or go in competition past a year. I did it in 6 months. When they closed that octagon, when they closed the cage door, I looked over at the biggest lightweight in UFC history. He was the biggest.
Yeah, he was huge.
I looked over and I said, fuck, I'm not ready. That's what I said. Imagine fighting someone in front of 40 or 30,000 people plus pay-per-view, knowing you're in trouble, that you rushed it, you came back too soon. As good a shape, just because it was in Newark, you wanted to fight in your hometown because you're sick of traveling, and you jumped on a fight like that. Are you ready, Kurt? Yeah, I'm ready. Let's rock and roll. Like I was a gladiator. Who does that? I did it.
Yeah.
And when they closed that cage door, I never forgot it. I was like, I'm done. I 100% am not ready for this fight.
Yeah, he looked, compared to you, he looked so much
I
bigger.
hung in there.
Yeah.
That's one of the fights I always protest. Like, I'm like, I beat that dude. I really do. I really believe I beat. I mean, I punched him and knocked him down, jumped on top and beat him up. Like, I really thought I won that fight. But, it's fighting. You can't leave up to the judges. And it was the highest level of sports that you could do. And I did it.
Yeah.
I don't regret it, but like I'm hurting and paying a price for it now. Definitely hurting and paying a price.
Yeah. How many surgeries have you had?
Jeez. My left knee alone, I have a partial knee replacement already. But on the left knee, I think I have 12 knee surgeries just on my left knee. I definitely need a hip resurface on my left side or a hip replacement. Yeah. So a lot.
Your hands, your
my
shoulder.
Hands, my shoulder. It's out of control.
Yeah. Do you learn anything from, I mean, they say like, once you get punched in the face, like things change, right? Like that kick in the face that you took from Alberto Crane.
I'm just not afraid of nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some people fear some things. Like I really.
That was the fight that your hair was red from wasn't it? Wasn't it the fight where?
No, that was in Atlanta when I almost killed Thiago Tavares with elbows. Remember that fight?
I think my ex-girlfriend colored your hair bleach blonde, I think, and then when you fought,
it was red.
It was red from the guy's blood.
Yeah, and he was one of the top fighters in the world, and I just came out punching.
Yeah.
And I gave him 67 stitches in his face, 2 broken eye sockets, and a top fracture of his jaw.
Oh.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. Like back then, we were warriors. I mean, the guys are warriors now. Trust me, dude. But it's just not for me.
Yeah.
Just not for me no more. Scary. Can't believe I did that. It was like thinking.
So now your son, Curdy Jr., is kind of following in your footsteps,
Yeah.
wrestling, and you're his coach.
I hate it. I hate it. I just know more than most coaches, and not that like I know more. I just know my son. You know what I mean? Like I know how to coach kids. Like I look at kids, I'm like, kids are just dumb, right? And I mean that like people can get offended by that. I don't care, but we have to teach them how to read.
Yeah.
Right? They're not dumb, but they don't know how. We have to teach them how to color inside the lines. They're not dumb. They just don't know how. I would teach them how to do jiu-jitsu. They never done it. They're not dumb. They just never done it.
Yeah.
I have to teach them how to win. They're not dumb. They just never done it. So I just say, they're just dumb. I'll teach them. Give me your dumb kids. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. I don't mean they're dumb. That's how I say it because I'm a funny guy, right? Let me teach you how to win. So I can teach these little kids how to win matches. I give them confidence. I make them believe that they are the monsters and that everyone is scared of them by just your swagger. And when I do it with Kurt, you know, when he wrestles and they beat him, they think they beat me. That's the problem that we're going to have with him, right? I want him just to be Kurt. I want him to walk into a mat and just be Kurt and just be himself. And teaching this kid how to wrestle has been one of the coolest things I've ever done because I'm getting to teach him what I was good. I was good at a double leg. I was good at pinning. I was good at just beating people. This kid is so good. He just doesn't know it yet, but he's so good. I mean, he's the top 27 in the state of New Jersey.
11, right?
10. Top 27 in the state. Hands down. And to be honest with you, he's probably the top 10 or top 5. But he has to I can't win those matches for him. So being a coach now, like I get more excited for Kurt's matches than I'll ever get excited for my matches because I knew I was a badass. I knew I was going to like look across them, the mat or the ring or the cage. And I was like, I'm going to beat this kid so bad. I'm going to make him cry in front of his girlfriend. But I was fighting. I was like, I'm going to beat this kid up so bad. His mom's going to call me and say, why'd you do this to my baby? I'm like, well, he signed the contract. Why'd you let your son wrestle me? Why'd you let him place those shoes? That's just who I was. Like when other people wrestled, dude, this was like my life.
Yeah.
I don't got school. I don't got nothing. I can't read. I can lose weight and I can wrestle my heart out. And to me, this is all I had. To you across the mat, I mean, you're probably going to be a doctor. I'm not. I'm going to be a wrestler. Like, imagine that. You might be an astronaut. I'm going to be a wrestler. I want to be an Olympic gold medalist. I want to coach wrestling. I want to own my own gym. Like, I want to be, wherever I go to work, there has to be a mat laying down. That's what I want it to be. So if I wanted to be that at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, till I was 42 years old, I accomplished that dream. My son needs to have that in him. And I believe he does. But again, he's just a boy and he needs to develop that. And when he develops that, the state of New Jersey is going to be on shock because this kid is 80 times better than I was when I was in high school.
Yeah.
He's doing things I didn't think kids could do, but a lot of his kids his age do that stuff. I mean, the wrestling has really picked up in Jersey, but going on, like, do I like coaching them? It's tough because I just want him to win every match, and I can't do it for him. And like when he loses, I remember I had like a really proud dad moment. I flipped out on my son. because like I knew we should have won that match. So like now I'm yelling at him and making him feel like shit. And it was probably one of the worst dad moments of my life, like super dad of the year. And then when he did the States, he lost 2 matches in a row, and that was it. And I saw him looking at me because he knew that I knew that he could beat both those kids. So here it comes. My dad's going to fucking yell at me. And I said, I go, as your coach, you should have won that match. But as your dad, I love you. And I'm so proud of you that you stepped on that mat. Most kids your age want to cut weight and not have had a birthday. Like you gave up your birthday to go and lose this match, to end up losing your first match in the States. As a dad, you're my hero, and I love you. And he looked at me like,
is this a test?
What's he up to? I don't care. And then his second match, where he had to win or it was over, the goal, the dream, the push.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kid lost like 4 pounds. The week of his birthday, he didn't have a birthday. He ate a salad at 9 years old, turning 10. How many 10-year-olds do that? They would cry if they had to do that. Mm-hmm. Kid was cutting weight to where like I'm in another room almost in tears. I'm like, my son's not, because I'm such a sissy now. And he lost his second match. And he was like welling up with tears, and he came over to me, and I said, hey, listen, as a coach, I'm proud of you. So I kind of switched it. Because as a coach, I'm proud of you. You went out there and you wrestled. And as a dad, I love you so much. I'm so glad this year is over. And I'm proud of you, and you did nothing wrong. You wrestled the way you did, and it's done. And then we went outside, and he was kind of like staring, just couldn't kind of figure it out. And I was like, you want to race? And he was like, what? I was like, you want to race? And he's like, race you? Like, yeah, from me. And I can't run. I haven't ran in like 7 years because of my knee. And he's like, go. All right, go. And I just took off. I started running at everything I had. And then he started running. Kurt's fast. And I'm like fat and slow. And I was like, and as we were running and I was cooking, he goes, Dad, you're doing it. I didn't say nothing. I was like fucking racing, and I beat him. And I was like, you lost 3 times today, boy.
He started laughing.
He started laughing, and he's like, Dad, I was like, I kicked your ass. And it was so funny because like I was able to be a dad and show him that like, you know, like that one moment I had a bad moment, but in like the States and you lost, like I was a dad. And that to me is what I want to be. I don't really give a shit about being the wrestling coach. I'm going to teach them, but like kids are going to lose. You got to treat them as kids because they're kids. And at that moment, I felt like I was dad of the year because I watched so many dads yelling and their kids crying. And it was, you know, because, you know, the dads feel like they could have wrestled better. Yo, man, they're just kids. Mm-hmm. The kids in 4th grade. When I did that on my way home, what a piece of what a bad person I was. Mm. But I recognize that. I've apologized 1,000 times, and I've told them how much I love them. So now, when we go in those situations, I just think about like I'm gonna throw him off. I was like, "You want to race, buddy?"
Yeah.
He's like, "What?" And then we were running, and he was so happy. I mean, kid just lost, and to look at me, and I'm looking at him, I'm winning, and he looked at me, and he goes, "You're doing it."
That's awesome.
I mean, I even have like a funny picture that we took in the car because like when we got in the car, I just wanted him to know that like I love him and I kissed him, and it was nothing. It was just another moment to become a stronger individual. That's really all this was. Like losing makes you better. And here's the picture of us in the car after I just kicked his butt. You know what I mean? Like it was over. Like this kid, like it was over, and I was happy that I felt like such an awesome dad. And you yell at your kids, if you don't have them. I'm sure you all have, but I'm a state champ, 8th grade state champ, and it was just like I tell him, like, I mess with him, I'm like, hey buddy, there's only one elementary school state champ in this house, and it's me. Sorry, pal. And he's like, oh, Dad, I'm gonna get
He's got
you.
a couple more years to go.
Yeah. And I'm just like, try to forget. I'm like, you don't have to do any wrestling tournaments this week, buddy. But like now, I've seen this like epiphany, and now I feel like I'm just way better. And but being a coach and watching him compete, I get more nervous for him than I ever did me, because I knew that, not that I could do a better job than him, that if I lost on my own. When he loses, I feel like I need to do something to help him better. So I can't wait until I don't have to be his coach. Like I'm already asking for like private lessons for him, just to work with a coach one-on-one and have them coach him.
Do you think he feels the gravity of when he loses, almost that people look at it as like you losing too?
I think so.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I hope not, but I think so. He gets real nervous because he's such a sweet young boy. He is the epitome of what you want your kid to be. Just a super nice kid, super sweet. Everyone loves him. All the parents say, "Oh, for a boy," not little girls. Like my daughter Priscilla is an amazing kid, right? Super polite, super nice to be around. All the parents love her. But like little boys are assholes. They're loud. They scream. They're inappropriate. Not Kurt.
Yeah.
Moms walk in across the street with a laundry basket. He'll run over there and help them.
Yeah.
Food from groceries. He stops what he's doing. None of the other kids do. His age.
Yeah.
I'm talking about little kids. He does it. It's not my house, but other people's houses. He does that.
Right.
I'm like, yo, bro, I hear how great you are. How about you get off your ass and do something? Oh, come on, Dad. You want to fight?
Do you think back and reminisce, and if you do, what would be like the match or the fight that you reminisce the most about? Whether it's a win or a loss, do you go back? Because I have one that I remember that will like stick with me, I think, forever.
What's that?
One of your matches.
One of my matches.
Yeah, you tell me yours.
Oh my God, it's like hard because I hate talking about wrestling, and like I don't cry for anything, but like talking about this kind of stuff gets me upset.
Like sad or mad?
Upset.
Yeah.
Sad. I only fought because I was chasing that state championship.
Right.
Like I lost a state title over stalling. I wasn't stalling, right? I lost a state final my senior year by locking hands, but never had a position to award me for the locking hands, meaning that if I take you down, if you don't give me 2 points, how could it be locking hands?
Right.
It was a pinning situation at that point, because when I double-legged him, he was sitting on his butt, and I was turning him to his back, and they hit me with locking hands, and I lost by that locking hands. I would have won by 2 and lost by 1. It was like 15 seconds. I think I look back to those matches, and I say to myself, what could I have done differently to had a different outcome? And those things have been over 20 years old, and I still can't shake them. I remember sitting down and talking to a shrink or a psychiatrist or whatever we want to call them, because I needed to just talk to one. A lot of stuff going on in my life. And whatever was going on in my life, I didn't go there for this. I went there to tell him what was going on.
Yeah.
And when I sat in the chair and the woman goes, "So what's up?" I started crying.
Yeah.
She goes, "What's going on, buddy? Tell me." I was like, "I don't think I've ever told anyone how I really felt." And she's like, "What?" And I go, "I'm a 2-time New Jersey State runner-up. And I always say finalist. I hate saying that. But I can't say runner-up." And she was like, "Okay." And I mean, I was bawling, crying, because and I was like, I don't know why it sticks with me. She's like, "You have to get it out. Like that, that is like the moment of like someone that died. How can anyone tell us how you're supposed to get over it?
Yeah.
I'm still not over it. But like, it was good to get that cry out because I don't think I ever did.
Yeah, you get the trauma out of the body.
Yeah, it was tough to get out, and I did. But like, those are the two things that stick with me. And believe it or not, the one match I can't get out of my head is from my son. I'm a takedown guy, so I told him to take the kid down, let him up, take him down, let him up. And I would never pick bottom. Never. No, we were offense, killing. Our choice, I picked bottom. And the guy next to me goes, "Did you just pick bottom?" I said, "Yeah, I did." Kirk got pinned. And that took a long time for that. I'm still fighting that one because I felt like that was my fault. That's why I don't like being the coach. Because I wouldn't have got pinned, right? That's how I look at it. But maybe I would have.
Yeah.
But like, I put him in that situation and I shouldn't have. So like, the memory.
When was this wrestling?
Like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
He was 8.
Right.
He was 8. But like, imagine holding on to that.
Right.
An 8-year-old getting pinned. I hold on to it because just a dad, I guess. And I look at it like, what were the memorable matches and the ones that I lost to States, and that maybe that Alberto Crane fight, like, or the Thiago Tavares fight. There were fights that like I had to win.
Yeah.
If I didn't beat Thiago, I was cut from the UFC. So it was like Rocky fighting Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
Like, he had to beat him. He already got beat by him. He had to beat him. Mickey's dead. He had to win. I had to win that fight or I was cut. And when I won that fight with Thiago, I bought a house, I bought a Lexus. Like, I was set.
Yeah.
My life was set. I was forever known as a top contender.
Yeah.
That made that really helped my career.
Do you want to know what mine is? This is the one that I always remember.
Which one was it?
It was senior year, high school.
My senior year.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, which means my senior year too. We graduated.
I know. I'm trying to play some head. It was one of my matches.
Yeah.
And you remember that match?
Absolutely.
When I beat Brian Muir in the state semifinals, 13-14.
That was a good one. That was a really good one.
Yeah, I mean, he beat me twice that year. Now. Okay.
Wait, you mean in the regionals? Yeah. You said yeah. That's the match.
That one.
Yeah.
I just watched that with Kurt.
Did you? When he like jumps out and he like tries to flick his like he like does like a spin or like and
he threw me to my back.
Yeah, I mean I remember like you had the front page of the Park Press that year of like that match.
A junior year.
That was junior or senior year?
Junior. It's on the wall in there.
Yeah.
I have it. It's in my.
So it was your junior year.
Butch Angen.
Butch Angen, that's it. Yes, not Brian Muir.
Yeah, I pinned him.
That was
first period.
And it was like a rematch too, right? Did he beat you in the season?
He knocked me out. I beat him in the Caldwell Classic. So in the Caldwell Classic, I remember Adam Jankos. I was friendly with him. I knew who he was, and I was talking to him. They were on the same team from Brick Memorial, and I go, "Dude, I'm gonna be a state champ this year. I'm sick of this. This is my year." He's like, "Dude, you're gonna win this shit. You watch." And I think I was seeded number 2. I didn't know why.
In the regional?
No, in the Caldwell Classic.
Okay,
If you win the Caldwell Classic back in New Jersey, if you win this tournament, you're a state champ.
Right.
Hands down, the toughest tournament in the state of New Jersey was the Caldwell Classic.
I remember it.
So I'm like, I'm going to win this tournament, and I'm going to prove to everyone that this little pissant from Point Pleasant Borough, that everyone thinks I'm a gazelle, I'm going to win. And my lion and gazelle theory proves me right. Little school, little gazelle. Big school, big lions. So no one cares about little Point Borough, the surfer school. I'm a gazelle. I'm going to prove everyone I'm a lion. Or I'm a gazelle that can hang with lions. So when I went against this kid, and I was telling everyone I was going to be a state champ at this tournament because some local Brick Memorial was this giant school.
Right.
They're there. the Giant Lion School was there, and he's like, yo, you're going to have a tough match in the finals, man. And I was like, who? He goes, Butch Hagen's ranked number 1 in the state. And I go, I'm going to beat him. He goes, good luck with that. Well, here I am, toughest tournament in the state, in the finals with the number 1 seed, and I beat him 6-4. I walked over. I go, you're looking at the state champ, and I just walked off the mat like I owned everything. And then then we went to Brick Memorial for the Brick Memorial tournament, summer tournament, and I'm ranked number 1 now. I'm the king, and I lose to him. I took a box of X-Lax. And I was going to poop my pants. I swear to God. True story. And I was calling injury time because I was going to shit my pants. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I took X-Lax. I didn't think I was going to make it. It didn't. I took it the week before.
To make weight.
To make weight. Like an idiot. I didn't need to do it. But I just did it. Because it seemed like the right thing to do. And here I am eating. And there it goes. I finally put different food in my body that shouldn't have been there.
It went right through you.
And here I am, shitting my pants on the mat. I rolled over and let him pin me. Couldn't take it no more. And I run to the bathroom. And my bigger brother, Anthony, comes in, mad, yelling at me, what the heck are you, beep, beep, beep. And he hears me in the toilet. He goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I ate a thing of X-Lax Mom gave me. I'm shitting my pants. Dude, I ended up taking third and demolishing everyone, but that was the truth. So now we go to the districts, and now Butch Hagen.
The regionals, you mean?
Nope, the districts.
Okay.
The districts first. This kid was in everywhere I went.
Yeah.
And I'm in the finals, and I'm winning. He puts me in a front headlock, and he DDTs me. Boop, knocks me out unconscious. I'm done. And my dad. Now, if this was these soft days, like, you know how soft the sports are? Well, he has a concussion, so, he's out of the regionals, and therefore he's all done. Back then, they're like, kid has a concussion. Wipe some dirt on it and let him go. You know what I mean? You break your leg, like, oh, my fucking leg's broken. They're like, oh, just tape it up, go to the trainer. Yeah. Let's cut it out. You know what I mean? Like, no one cared back then. Yeah. That's how it should be now.
Yeah.
Let the kids go. They're not going to die.
Yeah.
Maybe they will. Who knows? We're just tougher, our age of kids. So I go to the regionals, and now I'm on a warpath. Like, I don't care what happens at this moment. I'm not losing this match. I'm going to beat this kid. And I pinned everyone. I pinned the number 2 seed. I pinned the number, because I didn't get seeded. Because if you don't win, the top 4 get seeded 1 through 4 in the region. And if seconds and thirds and districts get in behind them, and they have to win to go against these guys.
Right.
So I had 2 matches in the pigtails in the back end before I would get to go with the number 2 seed. And then I pinned them. I pinned the first kid, I pinned the second kid. Now I go against the number 3 seed. I pinned the number 3 seed as well. Now I'm in the semifinals with the number 2 seed, who's like, I don't know, I think he was like 21-0. I pin him in the second period. And then I go against the number 1 ranked kid in the state. The kid I just can't wait to go against. I beat him. In a full-length match, I beat him. But when I had to shit my pants, I got pinned. And when he knocked me out unconscious, I got pinned. Yeah. It happens, right? It's wrestling. Kids. No excuses. That's what really happened. And I lost. I pinned him 57 seconds. I squeezed his head. I was like, ah! And when I won that match, was probably the coolest thing I've ever done.
The place went fucking bananas.
Right? Like,
the
Jesus.
place, you couldn't have scripted a better moment.
Like, running, and it was like, for anyone that doesn't know, like, I'm on their side of the mat, which made it even more dramatic. And he was trying to get out of bounds, and I was trying to go push him out of bounds to restart, and he pushed. Like, if he's listening, I wanted to get out of bounds because I didn't think I had a good position. He had like my leg, and I had his arm in his head, and he pushed into me, and I just
cinched it up.
That was it. He pinned himself. And then I'm squeezing him. And when I did it and when I pinned him to make it more dramatic, I was on their side where their corner is on a circle. And the other side was and I got to run over all the way and jump into my coach's arms.
Yeah.
I waited to do that my whole life. Never had that moment to do it. That was my moment. It was single-handedly, by far, the greatest moment I've ever had in a winning competition in my whole entire life.
Was it because of how many times like you won, he won, and then it was
like I didn't like him.
Yeah.
I was told he was the best, and I just won it and seeked out the best.
Plus, he was from Brick. Nobody liked any of that.
And I'm this like little kid from Point Pleasant Borough that can't do shit. And I just said, I don't think I'm better than him, but I know I'm tougher. Right? I don't think I was good. I just know I'm so tough. And I hate losing.
Yeah.
I hated it. I couldn't stand it.
Right.
And I knew that this is what I wanted to do for a living. I knew I wanted to be around mats my whole life. So this was my first step of proving that. Right. And then I went and I pinned I was the 8th seed in the state, and I pinned the first seed. Undefeated, 34-0. Pinned him. And then I pinned the 4th seed. I pinned him. And then I find myself in the state final. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Here I am. And then I lost.
Yeah.
And I was like, what could I have done better? How many people do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was no time to think. There was just time for me to go back home, lick my wounds, and just kind of get right back in. I think I was at the Sure Thing Wrestling Club. That was on a Saturday. I think I was there on Monday or Tuesday.
What does that do to your psyche when you're on, like, I mean, some of these fights in UFC or like you're in the finals at the state tournament, like how hard is it to like the next day, like after a loss? Like
it's hard. Like when you lose a fight in the UFC and you have to walk through the airport,
like fucking pay-per-view, millions of people.
You know, I can't say you never get used to it, but you get used to it. You know what I mean? Like it's a job.
What do you learn about yourself though when you're in those moments where you're just like, fuck, I lost? Like
it's over. It's almost like a relief.
Yeah.
Like when you fight for as long as I did, it stinks, right? When you're doing that amateur, like being an amateur and you're wrestling in the Olympics or you're wrestling in college, like you can always find ways to get better and get back in there. I believe when you're like a professional athlete, like I was, you take so much time out of your life and you're away from your family, like you're away from the people you love. Like if my mom died, I wouldn't have went to the funeral, or my dad or my brother. If I was in a training camp, I can't stop.
Yeah.
I can't feel that pain because I have a job to do, because that job is the only thing that made me and my family money. It's not like most of us have a podcast show and you make tons of money from it. You could stop that day. People would understand. No one understands if your mom or your dad dies, you're part of entertainment. The show must go on. So when the show was over, when you lost, in the middle of my career, when I'm a little bit more immature, it was like, maybe I'll get him next time. Now it's time to be a dad. I'm not going to sit here and dwell on my loss, right? It's time for me to be with my family. So that would help me. It's time to be with my family because I was so far disconnected from you. Now, because I lost, I went in the corner crying like I was in high school or in college. Or, trying to get better to figure out how I lost. I didn't have a family. It wasn't a big deal then. But now I'm an adult and it was time to be a big boy and to be with my family. So it wasn't okay. But like when I came to the gym, I took my 7 days off and then I went back to work. And I went back to work, training, getting my craft better, back in the strength and conditioning gym, back in the boxing gym. And then the moment I got a fight, so if I took the 7 days off and then it took me after 7 days, I had another 30 days of just training normal without, I can go out and have a drink with my wife. I can go out to a bar with my wife, go out to dinner with my wife for another month. The moment that contract came through, see you guys later.
Yeah.
Gotta go. So then after you lose a fight, wouldn't you just want to spend so much time with them because you only had a month last time?
Yeah.
So to me, when you lost, you have to work on things to get you better, but you didn't try to dwell on it because you wanted to be with your family.
Yeah. Because they love you no matter what happened.
They love you no matter what.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be with them. So it wasn't as bad. It was bad, like, you know, you lose, you're backstage, you lose, you're down on yourself. You pack your shit up, and the moment you see your smiling wife or your friends, it was all over.
Yeah.
Like, you're good. People love you. And you feel that love, you feel like it's okay.
Yeah.
So it was okay.
So what about the other side of the spectrum when you win on pay-per-view in front of millions of people? Like, how incredible is that? And you're getting interviewed by Joe Rogan. Like,
It's unreal.
it's got to be like the closest thing to being a rock star. Like,
I mean, I think you are.
yeah, for 100%.
I mean, I tell people all the time, I was a rock star. I was lived and breathed. The parties that I went to, the things that I
Yeah,
experienced.
because then we'd go to a bar and it was all
you remember
bought
that,
out.
right?
Absolutely.
Did you go to Vegas with me?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you remember.
2
I used to
times,
tell
I think.
people, you're never going to be able to walk down this hallway without 30 or 40 people coming up to me and grabbing pictures with me and taking pictures and signing autographs. It just won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it never did. It always happened.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was, and now it's not, I don't really believe it's like that now, unless you're like one of those super goober famous guys, because they have shows every other month. And
Right.
the fans
It's
don't go.
saturated.
It's saturated. They don't go to the hotels like they used to go to.
Right.
If they're in Vegas, they're everywhere, right? Because it's a fun getaway place. But if they're in like Newark, these people would stay and sleep in Newark in the hotel that we were at. It would be sold out for months before we came in there with
Right.
fans.
Yeah.
Now, or if you, like when I fought in Florida, remember I fought in Florida?
Yeah.
Rob Emerson, the hotel we were in, I was like, is this for real? It looked like a dorm. It was like you walk in and all the rooms, you could see them all around. So if people are walking outside the rooms, you get to the rooms, you could see the people, the fighters.
Yeah.
And people were, it was like a zoo. I'm like, wow, this is really? And that's just how it was. Now it's not like that. There's too many fights. There's too many people. They can't travel as much. And they don't really know where we're at. When I was doing it, when I was courting someone, one of my students like George Sullivan.
Yeah.
But it was way, I believe when I was fighting, was way cooler.
I think so too.
For not just like the high level guys like I was, but like the low level guys, because they got to experience being famous too.
Right.
They got to experience getting pictures taken, and you would know the ones because they would keep their gloves on and walk through like the casino.
Yeah.
Or they would keep their hand wraps on. Where I would get fucking changed completely as if I never fought and still would get stopped. I'm like, and then I'm like, well, it's because I have blonde hair. Damn it. Like, they know it's me.
Yeah.
But I did the blonde hair because when I was done fighting, I would dye it back to normal so no one would really recognize me. Because I wanted that little bit of home life, too.
Yeah.
But it was cool to be famous. It was cool to be in a video game. It was cool to have people recognize you. But, like, at the end, it kind of... That's why, like, if I see someone that's famous, I'll never go up to them.
Right.
Ever. Because they just want their time. Their privacy alone or their privacy with their family.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't do it.
Yeah.
And other people do. I've been with people. I remember me and Kenny Florian. And Kenny's so famous, right?
So famous.
So we were in Boston. I think we were in Foot Locker. I think it was... Who was it? I got to ask him. Nas was in there looking at shoes. And Kenny goes, I'm going to say something to him. I go, don't do it. Because I'm embarrassed for you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually... And he goes, no, I'm going to say something. And I go, don't. He said, I just want to tell him no, I got to say something. I walked out of the room. I left. I walked out because he started walking towards him. So I saw that. I was like, I got to go. And I left. And when he came outside, I go, you done? Was that good? You feel better? And he goes, jeez. I go, what'd you say? He goes, I told him I was a big fan. It's like,
Thanks, man.
That was it.
Right.
And I go, that's all you wanted to say to him, that you were a big fan. Here you are, a super, fought for the UFC championship belt, I believe once at that time.
Yeah.
You're my best friend, so you're even more famous now. Which wasn't true. I think I got a little bit more famous being his friend.
Yeah.
But that's what you wanted to tell him? Like, you'd be like, yo, bro, I'm Kenny Flooring, bro. I'll fight in the UFC. I'm a huge fan. Like, that would have been cool. Because then you're at least letting him know,
you're somebody.
You're somebody, too.
Right.
You look like a blowy saying that. But at least maybe he'd be like, oh, shit, Ken Flo. Boom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I can come in there and take a picture of you two and make fun of you the whole way home.
Yeah.
But you just said you were a big fan, and I was just like, and that was like my running joke. I'm like, yo, I'm a big fan. He'd be like, what would you have done? I'm like, I would have walked away like I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I sat next to Hulk Hogan, was like a hero of mine. And I was sitting at the Hollywood Seminole Hard Rock Casino. Hulk Hogan, where me and you were sitting, sits next to me.
Dude, that's
with his daughter.
Like a hero.
I ate dinner with him. I ate dinner with Hulk Hogan. That's what I tell people. And they're like, well, my table was touching his table.
It was Klaus.
But I could touch him with my freaking finger.
Uh-huh.
We're eating dinner together. I heard him like, hey, listen up. Like, I heard him. I heard people, someone went, and this is my conversation with Hulk Hogan. Someone came over to him and his daughter. We're eating dinner. He sat down. They're eating dinner. I didn't look. I'm like just looking. I'm like, oh my god, I'm my hero. And I was a Hulkamaniac.
Yeah.
I was a big one. I cried when Andre the Giant beat him.
I know.
Cheated.
Yeah.
Cheated.
Yeah, he did cheat.
But I cried. I remember fighting my my pound puppy. I had a pound, and I was like Hulk Hogan beating at the pound puppy like it was Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
And he lost. I was like, wait, what happened? I couldn't figure it out. But someone asked for a picture with Hulk Hogan, an autograph. And Hulk Hogan threw his fork down. And I go, yo, what are you doing? Let the guy eat with his daughter. What the hell's the matter with you? Get out of here. Bro, Hulk Hogan signed that autograph. I was like, thanks, bro. And I was like,
amateur fans.
yeah. But I wasn't famous. I was in the UFC.
Yeah.
But I wasn't I was on the undercards. But I wasn't that type of guy that was starstruck over superstars, ever. Dan Gable could walk down the street and I'd be like, there he is. I'd walk past him and brush his shoulder.
Just to let him know that you're there.
Yeah, but I could never ask him for an autograph.
Yeah.
I'd have to get my wife to do it. Yo, go ask him. Go tell him I'm a big fan. Please go. Tell him whatever you got to tell him.
Big fan.
Tell him I think he's great. Tell him I think he smells good. I don't care. Just let him know I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, Dan. If he's like, oh my God, Dan, you're walking down the street. That's how I'd have to play it off because I could never, ever do it.
Yeah.
Ever. I also don't know if this is a weird thing. Maybe we can find out from all the people listening. But I can't order food. I can't order it. I can't place an order over the phone with someone. Can't do it. And I also, here's the big one, I can't receive the food when they come to the door. I run out of the room.
Is it just
Or I
awkward?
hide. I can't do it. It freaks me out. When Smurf goes to the door,
Smurf is his wife.
My wife, yeah, Tara. I don't even put the feet down when it's extended. I keep it up and I put the blankets on me and hold them. And if the dogs run over there, she knows I'm not coming over to help her.
Yeah.
She has to shut the door to get the food. And then when I know I hear the door shut, I get up and I run into the kitchen. And I start getting plates down. That's a real thing.
Yeah. You have a problem.
It's a big problem.
Yeah.
Can't. And if I was going to order food and I'd be like, I'd pay for it, I'd tip, and I'd be like, just leave it at my door. And that's way before the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I can't see you.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at you. I don't want to see you. Not because I'm a snob, because that awkward moment of tipping you.
Yeah.
Was that good enough? Was that a good tip? A bad tip? I can't do it. If it was a $10 thing or $20 thing, $24, and I had a $50, I would keep the change.
That was like the pizza that I ordered the other day.
See, I don't come.
I was like, how much should I tip them? She's like, I don't know. I was
and I'm like, five.
And I go,
five.
Is $5 good? Are they gonna bring me the food? Is it gonna get here hot? And she goes, well, our drivers are dumb. I go, all right, they're getting $5.
Yeah, and then I was on the other side of it going, $5 is good, because that was making me uncomfortable. $5 is fine. You're like, what about 3? I'm like, no, $5's good. $5's good. Because like they're spinning my food. I'm like, oh my God, 5 is good, Pat. 5 is good. Did you ever notice what I'm saying right now? Do you remember that in the car right now?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That was me being freaked out from that conversation. Like, I can't be around it. I don't like it. It just honestly makes me uncomfortable.
I'm glad we learned something new about you today.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I hate it.
Well, I want to close it off here and see kind of if you have any closing words. We've talked about a lot of wrestling and fighting, but life now as it is, and I think it was a good insight into kind of how we know one another. But what you got for closing words?
Here's my closing words. It doesn't matter who you were. It's how you want to be at the end, right? Who I was and who I am today are two different people. Mm-hmm. Don't think for 1 second I'm not that fucking badass of a person I used to be. I choose not to be him because this is my piece. And I'm very happy being this guy. I have a great family. I'm in love with my wife. And I just want you to know, Pat, you've always been one of the greatest friends. Now, I can't even say if not the best. You are my 100% bestest friend in the whole world. And I just hope to God I'm able to repay you back like you've always been. Like, I always felt like you were always there and I was never there because I couldn't be there or I just wasn't there, but you were always there. And I hope now I can be that guy for you too. And not saying like I didn't take advantage. You were always my best friend. Always. And I'm so glad we're here.
Me too, man. I
Yeah.
love you. Like a brother.
Yeah.
I don't tell
I mean,
people you're my best friend. I tell people you're my fucking brother.
That's funny because I say the same shit.
Well, he has black hair. He's my brother.
He's short.
He's still my brother.
We always made fun of him when he was little.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to do this because, I think when you try and tell people about your best friend or we literally were like raised from...
We were raised...
like babies.
You're my first friend, so you're my first friend I've ever known. And we still talk. How many people can say they grew up with someone on their street and was the first person they ever met, whether it was a boy or a girl, or boy, girl, or girl, and they still talk to that person? I don't know many. I'm talking the first.
Yeah.
You were the first. And to be sleeping in my house and have slept there and came here when I had leg surgery and helped take care of me, you're still there. You know what I mean? Like, you're still there. When you had issues, who was the person you called?
You.
And then the last issues, you called me and then went to Smurf, which I was like, what the... I'm like, whatever. And if I could say whatever I want to at any moment, whether it's ignorant or funny or just fucking stupid, and you laugh. Mm-hmm. Like, we can get into an argument, which we did on the first day.
First night.
The first night. And we're here laughing because that's how the world should be anyway.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Like, if I don't like something you like and you like something I like and we argue, cool. Who cares? Like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, whatever. It's over. Yeah. But, like... That's just who I always have been. I've never... have I changed as a person since you've known me? Yeah. Like, I've always been this funny, happy, witty, asshole kind of a guy.
Yeah.
You've been the same kid.
Uh-huh.
But... you're way bigger.
Now? Yeah.
You have no injuries. and now I'm a little nervous sometimes.
Like Dolph Lundgren. We
Yeah,
always
so
used to
like,
say I'm Dolph Lundgren.
like if you want a shot at me, there's the gym. Like, get it over with.
Yeah.
And if I win, well, good for me.
I'll get a couple good licks in.
But if you win, then I'm like, we come home and Smurf's like, what happened? We're like, I'm not gonna deny a fight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna step down. She's like, it's over, right? Like, I didn't want to fight, but I have to honor that. I'm not gonna not honor it. Just my son, the closing moments, right? I want you to answer this for everyone to hear, but answer it for real.
Yeah.
I told my son, I think when he turned 16 or 18, I forget which one it is, but I think it was 16, 18, maybe 16. I said, when you turn this age, 16 or 18, you can either box me, kickbox, MMA, which means everything, jiu-jitsu in the gi, jiu-jitsu no gi, or wrestle. But I'm going to give you 100%. And I guarantee you, I'm going to win. You can pick. And if you win, you're the king. You're the new king. You're the lion. Well, he goes, what one do you think he picked? What one do you think that 9-year-old boy picked? Because he knew I wouldn't win. He knew it. I got to train for it. I have 6 years or 8 years. I got to really train for it. What one did he pick?
I have no idea.
He has to pick one. One of those facets he
Give it
gets.
to me again?
So, boxing, kickboxing, MMA, which would mean an MMA fight. That's 15 minutes, 3 5-minute rounds.
Right.
Boxing would be 3 6-minute rounds. Kickboxing, same thing. So
And then
kickboxing,
gi and no gi jiu-jitsu.
gi jiu-jitsu, no gi, or a wrestling match. Which one did that?
You picked wrestling.
Yep.
Why?
Because I won't be able to beat him. Look, if I box that boy, I'm way stronger. I'm going to knock his ass out.
Yeah.
Right? Especially at 16, he's dead.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to hold mitts for him, so I'm going to beat him.
Yeah.
Ever. I'm never going to let him do boxing. Nope. We're focusing on wrestling. Kickboxing, I'll kill him. MMA, come on, it's the same sport.
Yeah.
Gi, jiu-jitsu, I'll smoke that clown.
Yeah. No gi.
I'll kill him. I'm going to catch him in a submission. I have a fake knee. I'm going to have a fake hip. He didn't pick, he goes, Dad, I picked wrestling. My wife goes, oh! I was like,
snap.
and I had to keep a straight face. I'm like, you're never going to beat me. I was in bed that night, and we're talking. Smurf goes, you're never beating him. He's so good. And when he's 16, he was trained by his father. And if you wait to 18, I won't allow it. He'll kill you.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going to train. I'll train so hard for that match. Like, I'll beat him. I'll embarrass him. I'm going to beat him. She goes, Jesus, I'm not showing up. He's going to whoop your ass. All those years of you coming down on him, beating him in a race after a state championship, after a states, never letting him beat you in the gym. All, you know what I mean? Like playing a video game, like, oh, what's up? You know, she's like, that's all going to come ahead. I go, or I'm going to rent so much space in his head.
He's not going to be able to.
I'll win. And then it's over. But you picked him because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to videotape it. And I'm going to be like, this has been going on since the kid was 9 years old. He picked wrestling. So it's either 16 or 18. I got to ask him.
Yeah.
But at 18, I don't think I win. At 16, I think I beat him.
I don't know. That's a tough one. He's fucking 10.
I know.
He's so good.
I know. And if you know what makes it worse? If he's at 16 and wins a state title in high school.
And
because then he's going to call me out. He's going to be like, yo, old man.
Yeah.
Like I did to my dad. See, I beat my dad when I was 13.
Yeah.
14. I think I was a state champ. And I was in high school, freshman year, and my dad still wanted a piece. So I cork and laced him and put him in a neck brace. Because I couldn't take it no more. I hurt him. So I'm like, I think about that. I'm like, I beat my dad, but I'm way better than my dad. Like my dad wasn't a professional athlete. I was. I could beat him. So I got to build this confidence. But you're saying 16-year-old Curdy Jr. beats Big Curdy.
I think so. He's got 6 years. Do you know how good he's going to get in 6 years?
Wow. Imagine.
And that's 6 years for you. How many more surgeries are you going to have?
Definitely a hip.
And
maybe a new knee.
Right?
I might have to have that full knee replacement.
Yeah.
But definitely a hip.
For sure a hip.
Definitely getting a hip. I never thought of that.
Yeah, so.
But no matter what, like if I gotta do steroids, I'm gonna do them.
Do them for a couple months before?
Nah, like a good year.
Yeah.
Like train for a whole year for that. When he's 15, dude, you're gonna be like, see, I'm running, like juicing up, like.
You're going to do the speed walking because you can't run.
Yeah. I have an elliptical.
Well, I appreciate everyone tuning into this episode. This has been really fun to catch up with my best friend Kurt, my brother for life. And check him out on Instagram if you want to go and give him a follow at Kurt Pellegrino.
You'll laugh a lot.
We'll laugh a lot. We're actually sitting in his gym, Pellegrino MMA, here in Belmar.
Wall, New Jersey, I switched it.
Oh, yeah, it's Wall, New Jersey.
It's on Belmar Boulevard, which is
That's
weird.
what threw me off.
It happens.
Yeah. So, well, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks so much, and have a good one. Peace.